Hello, welcome everyone for attending our grad school event. My name is Charlene Gonzalez, and I'm the Vice President of Social Media, and I'm current undergrad senior majoring in psychology and minoring in family studies. We would like to thank everyone for coming today, and we have an amazing special guest from the graduate um, college. It was Miss Lori and Pembo. Give them a hand, please. For the first event, we will be having our first presentation from the graduate college and see what grad school is all about. The second half, we will having a panelist discussion to see what grad school is like and hearing their experience about it. So we'll have Lori come up give our presentation.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Filippo. I'm the International Recruitment and Admissions Specialist for the Graduate College. So today, as Charlene mentioned, we're going to go over a little bit about the Graduate College. If you started thinking about grad school. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Slide. Okay, so this is just a quick agenda, just to let you know what we're going to be chatting about today. So of course, why grad school, why UNLV? If you're already at UNLV, you probably have a good idea of why you want to keep staying at UNLV to go to grad school, but we're going to go a little bit more on why grad students stay at UNLV and continue their education with us. We're also going to go into applying into the UNLV Graduate College, so what kind of documents you're going to need, what's going to be looked at. We're also going to look at different resources. As a first-gen student, this is probably the most important. We want to make sure we give you as much resources as possible, and we offer a ton of them at the Graduate College. The other thing we're going to talk about is paying for grad school. So this is also really crucial for students. They want to know, how am I going to be paying for this degree? So we'll go over different resources and funding options and different ways to help out with that. And then, of course, navigating your first term. So what do you do once you're actually accepted? And how is the Graduate College helping you even further your first term and even further your first year? Slide. Okay, so I first just wanted to mention, of course, being a first-gen student, we do have a lot of them over at the Graduate College. I myself am a first-gen grad student. A lot of our GAs, as you'll see on a slide later on, they're actually first-gen undergrad and grad students themselves. So what we kind of say, the first thing is the goal, right? You need to make that decision to actually go to grad school. So going to grad school, as my GA Pemba mentioned, is a choice. So you do make the choice to go to graduate school. We do, as I mentioned, have a ton of resources at the UNLV Graduate College, both while you're an undergrad student and once you actually do become a grad student. So we'll go into that a little bit more into detail. There's a ton of different activities. Again, we'll talk about this a little bit more. So the activities, we have workshops, orientations. So we want to make sure that you're getting involved. So not just going for your degree, but actually staying involved, going to the different events on campus, seeing what the workshops are. So make sure you're keeping involved and get that first, all the experience you can. And then, of course, have fun. So it's a lot. You're thinking it's a lot of research and homework that you have to do as a grad student, but you have fun with it. So you're gonna be doing a lot with internships. You're gonna meet a bunch of different people. You're gonna get out there. So have fun with it. All right, so first thing we want to talk about is why graduate school, and more so why graduate school at UNLV. Right? So we do find that grad school, only about 13.1% actually hold graduate degrees. And I'll show you on the next slides the importance with unemployment and how actually increasing your grad degree will lower the unemployment rate. So we'll go over this a little bit more on the next slide. Especially the earnings, how hiring your degree actually does increase the earnings that you could potentially be getting. But it does give you more transferable skills, especially when you go into your career. So it's making you more marketable. When you look for these employers, they're going to say, hey, this person actually went for their grad degree. They have these disciplines, so it may make you more marketable and sought after. Next slide. So this slide will go ahead and show you the job outlook. So as I mentioned, the higher the degree that you go for, so going for that doctoral degree, will actually, the unemployment rate decreases. And then just the opposite, the higher the degree you get, the potential for higher earnings you could be getting. Next slide. And then what this is showing from 2016 to 2026, these are typical degrees that do require that graduate degree or that professional degree. So just kind of a look at if you're kind of thinking, hey, I want to be a lawyer, I want to go into med school, a counselor, you may need to have that upper degree, that graduate degree or that professional degree to get into that career. Slide. All right, so now that we kind of talked about the graduate, the importance of it, now we want to say why at UNLV. So as you may know, UNLV is a prestigious R1 ranking. So we do get ranked each year. And with this, we're only one of 131 universities in the US to actually have this ranking. We have over 185 different graduate programs, so a ton of programs. And I do have materials here for you. So when you do come in, please feel free to reach out to the First Gen team and they will make sure that you get the materials from us. You can always reach out to us as well. The Graduate College will help you go through all the programs. We are the most diverse university in the country. So this just became recognized, I believe, this year, or if it was just last year, it became the most diverse. We also have the Professional Development Academy, again, talking about those resources. So we'll go over that a little bit later. And then speaking of the Carnegie, we are one of only 119 universities to have this classification as well. So speaking about diversity, you do get to learn from nationally and international faculty, their students, staff. So you're going to have that whole experience and experience with them. You get to partner and intern with local employers. A lot of your professors on campus, they're going to pull from different companies they know. I know the MBA, they actually will go out to the Golden Knights and check them out. They even travel abroad. So you're going to be able to get that hands-on experience with a lot of these programs. We do have classes really all throughout. So we know a lot of our students are non-traditional. So we have evening classes, afternoon classes, online classes. Some of our grad programs are even fully online, if that might be an option. So if you want to check out our online programs, we do have it on our website. So you can always check that out as well. And of course, we do have the graduate assistantships. We'll go into that a little bit more because I know that's a big funding opportunity for our grad students. And you get to develop relationships with your faculty, staff, and other students on campus. Okay, so throughout my presentation, I did set it up to where we could get prizes. I know many of you are online. So I'm actually going to leave the prizes with the First Gen team. And then they will let you know how the prizes will work and get distributed. So we'll go ahead and skip this for now, but I'm going to leave the prizes. So don't worry, and they'll let you know how that's going to work later on. Okay, so applying to UNLV Graduate College. So now we actually want to get into, hey, now you're interested, how do you actually become a grad rebel? So if you haven't seen it already, we actually apply through the Grad Rebel Gateway. So you'll create your account through the Gateway. This is where it's going to be your main hub for everything. So you'll apply through here. You'll submit all of your required documents for your application in the Grad Rebel Gateway. If you are a domestic student, it's $60 for the application fee. If you are an international student, it's $95 for the application fee. Now in this portal, is going to be where you'll be able to check the status of your application. You'll be able to apply for scholarships, graduate assistantships, and all of your forms are going to be on here as well. So once you start progressing, maybe you need to do graduation, any kind of documents you need will be in the Grad Rebel Gateway. So this is going to be your hub for applying all the way to graduation. Next slide. Okay, so once you submit your application, these are the documents that we need to see from you. So we need to see that you have a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution, which you'll have from UNLV. And then we also need to see that you have a 2.75 GPA for that undergrad. if you do not have a 2.75, don't worry. We look at the last 60 credits, and we want to see that you have at least a 3.0 GPA. Now, some people say, well, what if I don't have that 2.75 or the 3.0? Again, don't worry. We will still review your application, and we'll still send it to the department. And they may decide to say, hey, you know what? We want to look at everything as a whole, not just the GPA. Go ahead and still submit all of your stuff, and you still could be admitted provisionally. So still get everything in, even if you're concerned about your GPA. Let me skip back. Transcripts. We do need to see transcripts from each post-secondary institution. Now, you should have already given this to UNLV when you applied for undergrad, so we should be able to just pull that for you. But on your application, make sure you're listing all the institutions that you attended, even UNLV. That way we know that we have to check that UNLV transcript and pull that. Foreign credential evaluations, again, we should already have this if you attended UNLV, but this is for any students that studied outside of the country. So if you went outside the US, some of our programs do require foreign credential evaluations. So if you have any questions on that, reach out to us. We'll go in more detail about it. Another prize, and I'm sorry. But we will, as again, you guys will get them. Okay, resources. So there are a ton of resources while you are currently in undergrad, and a ton of resources when you actually do get to grad school. So as an undergrad, we do have the Graduate Academy. So we offer free leadership, career services. There's certifications that you can be getting. I will say as an undergrad student, you may want to even see, sometimes you can take grad classes as an undergrad student and then have those be counting. Maybe save some money with that, have it count as both. There might be advanced program or different certifications you can be earning. So definitely reach out to us while you are still an undergrad. That way we can see if anything is available to you. And then we do have the professional development opportunities. So these are just some of the certifications and the different things you can do as a grad student. And this is all on top of getting your degree. So again, we don't want to just give you a degree. We want to prep you and get you ready for your career afterward. So we have the academic support certifications. These are all free, year-long development programs. We also have the Grad Rebel ambassadors. So now the ambassadors we currently have working with us. So maybe you want to chat with someone that is already in your program or that is a student already that can give you more of that experience. What was their experience like? So you can always meet with one of our ambassadors, or eventually maybe you want to be an ambassador yourself. We do have the Grad Rebel Writing Boot Camp. This is great for when you have to do any kind of publications, your thesis, your dissertation, writing samples. So they're there to help you. So anything with writing, if you need help with it, use the resource out there. And then we have the postgraduate career pathway program. So again, not just getting you into your career, your degree, but getting you into your career afterward. So this is prepping you, preparing you for those career options. As mentioned, we have a ton of events. So at the Graduate College, we actually host events every single week. Right now on our calendar, we have them out until summer. So if you go on our event page, you'll be able to come onto any of our events. We have Grad School 101, 201. We'll talk about funding, again, how to apply. Some of the departments even have their own presentations. So MBA, if you're interested in the MBA program, you can actually get a whole presentation from the director. So check out our events. We also give tours on campus as well. So if you want to take a tour at the Graduate College, go on there, RSVP, and we'll go ahead and get you set up. Another prize. Okay, so paying for grad school. So this is probably the most important thing. A lot of people want to know, how do I actually pay for this program? So what we offer the graduate school, we have the graduate assistantships. That is probably the biggest thing that we offer, and the most popular for students. We have over 1,000 GAs that we do offer. There are non-academic and academic GAs. So academic just being just that, if you want to work for your particular degree. Non-academic would be at the graduate college, maybe student union, library, those places will hire. The GA, think of it like a big package, right? So you get your tuition covered, the health insurance is covered. So basically you're just paying for those added on fees that are with the classes. If you are an out-of-state student, while you're a graduate assistant, you're actually considered an in-state student. So all the out-of-state fees will be waived as well. So, and then on top of all of that, you get a stipend every month. So we're paying for the classes and you're getting money to help you, you know, with your fees or your books or whatever it may be. We also give 5.7 million in awards. So we have the scholarships and fellowships. Some departments may even offer their own scholarships, so it's always good to check with your department as well. They may have some kind of internal scholarship that you may be eligible for, or funding that you can do. And then, as you may know, we have the low cost of living and tuition. What I like to mention, just one more thing on this slide, is that when you look at our programs, another way that you can possibly save funding is, depending on what kind of career you want to do, look at the career path and then see what kind of degree do you need for that career path. Do you need to go for a master's, or can you go straight to a PhD program? If you can get a PhD instead of the master's, that will save you some time and, of course, some money for it. So when you're looking at our degrees, we have a ton of them, but what I would do is look at what career you want to do first. Kind of think of it backwards, and then think of how maybe that can save me a little bit of money. FAFSA. So we like to touch on FAFSA. As a grad student, you can be eligible for FAFSA. However, I like to say that even if you are not looking to pull out any kind of loans or any FAFSA, still fill out your FAFSA forms. Doesn't mean you're going to have to pull out any loans, but you may be eligible for some grants. And of course, grants, the nice thing is you don't have to pay that money back. So why not fill out the FAFSA forms? Even if you're not eligible for FAFSA, we do have the alternate need form. So again, we're trying to help you pay for anything we can for your tuition, make it as easy as we can for you while you're going through your grad program. And then as mentioned, if you do need to fill out any kind of loans that is available, what I would recommend in that case, make sure you're just contacting the financial aid team and making sure everything is in and submitted so that you get the funding in on time for your courses. Okay, and then navigating your first term. So we just want to tell you a little bit what you should be doing after you've been accepted. So once you have been accepted into the graduate college, the first thing you want to do is check your decision letter, which will be available again on that Grad Rebel Gateway. On the decision letter, it's going to tell you if you were admitted with any conditions. Maybe you only gave us an official document, so we still need those official documents. If the department has any provisional courses they want you to submit, get those in. This is also where you're going to be able to accept your admissions into your program. So definitely check out your decision letter. If you haven't already, make sure you're creating that Rebel Mail. As we know, this is where you're going to be contacted by all of us, by your professors. This is going to be your main email address where they're going to send you. And some professors, they actually prefer this one. They may not send you anything in your personal email. So make sure you're setting up your Rebel Mail. Make contact the graduate coordinators. They're going to be like your advisor. They're going to be the main person to go to. You may have a faculty advisor as well, depending on your program, but make sure you're staying in contact with them. They're going to be the ones to tell you if there's any graduate assistantships available. They can help you to make sure you're falling in line with your courses, make sure you're all set for graduation. So make sure you're staying in contact with the graduate coordinators, the faculty advisors, professors, graduate college team. We're here to help you out. So stay in contact with us. And then, of course, register for your courses. So make sure that you're going in, get all of your classes in, meet again with the coordinator or advisor, make sure you're getting those classes, and sign up for them by the deadlines. All right, sign. And then this is our graduate college team. So we're actually a very small team at the graduate college. So there's the three of us. My Associate Director of Admissions is Elizabeth Jost. Again, I'm Lori Filippo, the International Recruitment and Admissions Specialist. And then we have Matthew Montalto as the Admissions Analyst. And then we do have 4 recruitment GAs. And all of our GAs, they are students themselves, and again, work at the Graduate College. So you can meet with us, meet with any of our recruiters. If you have any questions here, I even went ahead to show you who actually is a first gen out of our team. And you can see some of our team actually is first gen, either undergrad or first gen grad themselves, that we can kind of get an idea and experience from them. Okay, and if you haven't been to our location, we are at the Gateway Building, so it's right across the street from In-N-Out. That's what I like to say. It's on the other side of Maryland Parkway. So we're also open Monday through Friday. We're on the 2nd floor, so if you haven't been to our building, check us out. So we're always available. We have the pizza place, Crumble below us, 7-Eleven. So check us out and come visit us to see what we offer you as a grad student. And with that, I'd like to thank First Gen for having us, and I'll give it back to Charlene, unless anyone has any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori, for that amazing presentation. Give her another applause, please. Okay. So we actually have 3 amazing first-gen panelists. Come up here, you guys. Awesome. All right. So, could you introduce yourselves?
Yes, of course. Alan Garcia here. I'm a second-year master's student in kinesiology at the School of Integrated Health Sciences.
Hi, I'm Enrico Sean Smith. I'm a urban leadership graduate student. I graduate in 5 weeks.
Hello, I'm Jorge Reyes. I'm a 3rd-year math Ph.D. student, just advanced to candidacy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. The purpose of this panel discussions is to hear about your experience about what graduate school is like and what are some questions that we have here right now. So the first question that we want to ask is, what motivated you to apply to grad school?
I actually graduated my bachelor's back in 2012. I took in a few different things for a few years, and I eventually found physical therapy. And after working in an outpatient clinic for a few months, I tried it out. I loved it. Now my next step was to figure out how to get back into school. My grades weren't all that great. My GPA wasn't all that good. One thing led to another. I found the master's program here at UNLV. I got accepted, and here I am. And hopefully, I'll continue this journey next year.
I started laughing when he said that because my required GPA for my bachelor's was 2.75. I got a 2.76. But now I have a 4.0 as a grad student. But no, it was actually George Floyd. After that happened, I decided to stop police officers from doing that. So I've got a really strong military background. So my goal once I get my master's is to go to police departments and teach them inherent bias and critical race theory and how to stop hurting colored people of color. So George Floyd is the reason I'm here.
In my case, I knew the job I wanted, so I want to be a professor, which requires a PhD. So kind of started that, right? I'm sure most doctors, dentists, lawyers, right? All people that aspire to have a job that requires a PhD means that you got to go to grad school.
Thank you so much for sharing. Next question. What are some challenges that we should be aware of as first-generation students pursuing grad school?
The one that has challenged me the most as a first-gen Latino student was being accepted and getting hit right away with what's called imposter syndrome. Simply just believing that it's not real, you're not meant to be here. There was an error in the paperwork, an error in the computer system that you got accepted when you believe that you should have been. Don't believe that you are here. If you get accepted, you are here for a reason. And I combated that probably the entire semester last year, entire fall semester. And it's really just believing in yourself and believing in your friends and your cohort, your professors, your faculty that they really do want you here.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, imposter syndrome. There's a girl sitting right over there with an afro that's a lot smarter than I am. She could be sitting here more than I should be sitting over there, actually. But no, you have to take a lot of initiative to do things on your own because you're not going to get babysat by your professors. They're highly, highly qualified. Not that they aren't under your bachelor's, but these guys are like, they're doing the work and they're changing the world. And they're trying to help you go along with them, but they're not going to babysit you. At the same time, you have a lot more help at the university as far as people wanting to help you. You have like really good resources, and everyone's really motivated to help you succeed. So it's a double whammy. So it's kind of good. But yeah, imposter syndrome was the biggest thing I think for all of us.
Yeah, so there's a big transition as in so if you're given a GA ship that switches you to now being like a kind of the bridge between faculty and student, right? Like it's like half of the time you're a student, you're attending classes, and they're now 700 in front of them, so they're much more difficult. And then on top of that, you may be teaching a lab or a lecture, and now you have undergrads learning from you, and so you have to learn to balance the work and the school. And right, if you're in STEM, you probably want to do research on top of that, and so the time management aspect of being in grad school is definitely a challenge if you're not used to juggling multiple things at the same time.
Thank you so much for sharing. I can definitely relate what it's like to have imposter syndrome, and it's hard. As being a first generation undergrad student, I did struggle with imposter syndrome during my last couple of semesters, but I learned that having this amazing first gen team helped me realize that I'm not alone. And the purpose of this club is that to support each other and knowing that we're not alone. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, what was the transition like going from first gen undergrad student to grad school?
Like so many things that I faced to answer that question. I'll just pick one. I remember as an undergrad, I was really scared looking at the classes progressed, seeing 600, 700, 790. Just the numbers alone freaked me out. Just thought, I'll get there. Once you're in, your courses start with 600, 700. So you just sign up and go. Doing so, I've learned to just not dip one toe in the water. You just gotta dive in, get with it. Easy as that.
Yeah, that's excellent. Also, when you're getting your bachelor's, you read to learn things because you have to be able to nail the study guide. But when you become a master's student, you have to really read to understand. So I find myself doing a lot of rereading so that I can try to explain it to myself. Because one day you might be explaining it to a class, or might have to explain it to someone else. So that the depth of knowledge is much deeper. You have to not just read it, but you have to be able to understand it, explain it to yourself, and then hopefully you can also apply it. That's the test.
Yeah, I want to say it's kind of like a mentality shift because when I was an undergrad, I feel like it was an undergrad in STEM. Your main goal is to get an A or be good at class. Whereas in grad school, I've had classes where literally the entire class gets an A, and so that's not the goal anymore. The goal now is to maybe understand the material and then synthesize and make a paper out of it, or publish, or find a good advisor and do some other things like that. And so research. And so you kind of have to shift the goalpost a little bit, and that took me like a year to get into like, oh, the point is not to just do good in my class; it's to do other things as well.
Thank you for sharing. We actually have a question from Emily. Is there a timeline for the application? When can we expect a response that we're accepted?
Hello. Okay. All right. Yeah. So timeline for the application. So every program at the graduate college has their own specific deadline on when you have to get the application in by. So first, make sure you're checking that deadline page to see when you have to get your application and your materials in by. Also, some of our programs only have fall starts, some of them only have spring, some have fall, spring, and summer. So that kind of gives you an idea on when you have to get everything in by too, especially if you have to do the GRE or the GMAT. Give yourself time. Check out the deadlines first so that you're prepping, getting all the materials ready. Some of them only offer admissions once a year. And if you can't get a GMAT in until, every 3 months or every 6 months, make sure you're checking the deadlines in that. When can we expect a response that we're accepted? This also kind of varies as well. I hate to say that. Once we get all the materials in at the graduate college, we start reviewing your application right away. That can take a couple days, longest maybe a week, just depends on the flow. You saw how small our admissions team is, but we are steadily working as hard as we can to get them in as soon as possible. Once they're done with our team, though, then they're off to the committee and the departments. That's where it can vary a little bit. Some departments have rolling admissions, so they'll just keep making their decisions as they get them in. Other departments may wait until that deadline, then they'll start the review process. So it just depends on the program you're going for.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. Next question. What resources should undergraduate students take advantage of?
There are so many resources at UNLV, at college. So many resources. They are here to help you, and not just saying that because they're in front of me. They really do help, but not just them. Our instructors, professors, even the student body. I mean, we all help each other. We all dip into each other's projects. If I were to just pick one, I'd say Grad College. Email, when you go on the UNLV website, just feel free and ask any question. I've gotten responses same day, if not the next day. Just start there.
Yeah, the graduate college was a big help. They were really helpful in getting me into the program because I had a lot of questions, as well as the imposter syndrome, which I won't keep super far. But also having a good group of students to work with. I know Sherry was in one of my groups, and I'm like always the dumbest guy in the group. So I always like that poor librarian, the research librarian. I've sent her so many emails. She's like, she does 80% of my work for me, and then I take all the credit. I feel really bad, but the research librarian's a huge help. And now that I'm doing my final project, you even have like a graphic arts person, you have a video person that can cut up your video, you have people that can do your PowerPoint. So you have a lot of resources. You really feel like a muckety muck when you're doing your graduate degree. But yeah, it's very important that you use the resources because nobody's an island, especially in graduate school.
Yeah, so I'm gonna skew my answer to like, let's pretend you're very high achieving and you want to be competitive for grad school, and what do you want to do to better your chances or get into nice grad schools? And something I've been saying is there's like programs offered through the Grad Academy, like Grad Rebel Advantage or RAMP, for STEM, and so that will partner you. RAMP will partner you up with a grad student to mentor you, and Grad Rebel Advantage is all about the transition from undergrad to grad. And there's just, I know the center or trio has like a McNair program or NSF LSAP thing. So there's many things floating around here to take advantage for this transition period. And I would highly encourage people to do those. I didn't do those. but I know many undergrads that are interested in them, and they seem to be like starting off on a good foot, kind of.
Yeah, thanks. I also want to add Rebel Forge. They're helping me with my business plan. They're legit, like a really good privately funded company that helps you with your business plans. And then make sure to take advantage of CAPS. That's your counseling. If you get overwhelmed, make sure to go to the wellness center and sign up for CAPS so that you can, when you're feeling burdened or stressed or like maxed out, you can speak to a counselor and they can kind of help you walk you through it because it's going to happen, I think.
Let me also mention real quick too the graduate student, Grad and Professional Student Association, GPSA. They have been a great help to me with funding for research, or if I want to present a poster or a presentation at a convention out of state, it can also help you with funding just to get there and to fly there and fly back. Again, there's so many resources here. The university as a whole, they are here to help you.
Thank you for sharing. I can definitely relate to joining the GRA, which is also the Grad Rebel Advantage program. I am actually one of the cohorts for this year's 2021 to 2022 cohort members. And let me just say that the program really helped me personally about my public speaking skills, and it really got me in depth to what graduate school is like and the differences between master's and PhD. Personally, my goal of going to graduate school is coming to marriage and family therapy, and so this program has really helpful for me personally, and I'm grateful that I get to be in this amazing program. We have a question from one of our online attendees. I believe one student said they are studying kinesiology. As someone who is interested in going to graduate school for their master's in kin, could you talk about your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the Masters of Kin degree program can help you whether you want to get into a sort of training, physical therapy, occupational therapy, or even if you want to get into teaching, have you. Excellent program. I mean, every faculty member, every instructor, they do their own research. You can assist in their research. They will help you in some of your research projects. The students that are in your cohort are just incredible. The past year, since with COVID and everything, they've all become a family. I'm just saying that they are really here to help you. And for me, I try to dive into everyone's projects because I really want to be part of it. I really want to help.
Thank you for sharing, Alan. Okay, next question. How do you build a relationship with your cohort and faculty as first generation student? How do you build the confidence to create these relationships?
Okay. Well, definitely it starts with classes. Or well, I mean, okay, so it's a little difficult in COVID time, but in my department, all PhD students are automatically funded for GAs, and so we're all GAs, and we all have offices, and so just by sheer proximity, you make friends with your office mates or the people next to you, and it is really important. I think over here they said that they feel like a family, and that's true even in math. Okay, we're cold and apparently heartless. And it really is just like a tight knit community. You take the same classes, you teach the same classes. We go out to eat lunch, and so just talk to other incoming cohort, right? The people that come in and are new PhD students with you. They're also going through this experience for the first time, and so you all have something in common, and you should just study together, and eventually friendships grow and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm an introvert, so he's right, exactly. Like when you study with groups, you naturally become friends. And then the people that you have the most in common with, they'll come meet you on campus and study with you and go to events and stuff. And so it's pretty organic. And then it also feels really good to know that a lot of the people that I'm working with are so talented and smart. And I'm going to stay in Vegas, and I really feel like they all have positive futures. So I think we're probably going to run into each other in our professional careers. I hope, inshallah. So that's a really good thing too. You make really good connections when you're working with your cohorts. You meet some really smart and talented students.
To answer your question, I think what has helped me develop relationships with my faculty and my grad advisor, my faculty advisor, the grad coordinator, everyone is really just being honest with everybody and just telling them your goals, your dreams, what you want to do, and just simply ask them, how do you get there? I mean, again, everyone's willing to help. As for me, before I got accepted into the program, I happened to get in touch with the graduate coordinator of my department, and I just told him, yeah, my history, my situation, what I need to do to be able to apply and be eligible. He explained everything for me, and I was able to accomplish everything that he said. I got accepted, and we're doing that 1 year after our relationship has only grown. Seeing like a second dad, to be honest with you. But again, just be honest with everybody. And, yeah.
Thank you for sharing your experiences. Do you have any tips when studying for the GRE/GMAT?
I've only taken it once. One thing I've learned is there are so many course manuals and flashcards and all that stuff on Amazon that you can buy. I bought the big, thick book thinking that it'll help me. One thing I learned is really read the question when you're in the exam. I understand it's timed, but try not to get nervous. Just read the question as it is and answer it. Because some of the questions that I did miss is because I misread one word for another. I thought too much of it, but really just stay focused.
Yeah, you guys are getting great advice. I did the same thing. I got all these study guides because I can't remember anything. And I was 2 hours into the GMAT, then I realized that the practice tests were harder than the real test. But I was so scared and so nervous and so insecure that I was overthinking the questions. And then I did much better in the second half of the GMAT. And I actually did decent, but I really bollocks the first 2 hours because I was so scared and nervous that I didn't realize till I was 2 hours into it that the actual study guide, when I thought about it, was actually harder than the actual test itself. So don't psych yourself out. You got this. If you got to go in there nice and relaxed and make sure you get a lot of sleep and eat a big breakfast. And then when you go there, just remember that the practice test, probably, at least in my case, will be harder than the actual test.
Yeah, I just want to echo the relax and don't get text anxiety and all of that because first of all, you have multiple attempts, right? I have friends that took the GRE like 4 times, and then at the end, he did get a score that he liked. But also, if you're just like if you believe you're an inherently bad test taker or something, the GRE, GMAT, these standardized tests are getting less and less significant in kind of evaluating candidates, right? Like departments are starting to realize that standardized tests aren't really all they're cracked up to be. So, just go in there, try your best, don't freak out. And yeah, that's just pretty much it.
Just real quick too, the GRE as it pertains to your application when you're applying to master's program or a PhD, regardless of the score, it's really just one part of your whole application. You still have your courses, your grades, your letters of recommendation, all the other stuff. So just remember that, regardless of how good or how bad you do it, hey, it's only one part.
Thank you for sharing. Awesome.
Just an addition, when students are applying and they're checking the program page online to gauge what the requirements are, some of those program pages for our university have not been updated. I want to say in inverted commas, post-COVID. So please reach out to the graduate admissions team and let us know which program you're interested in. We can check against that to see if it's still a requirement or not. Yes.
What are the major differences between grad school and undergrad?
Grad school, I'll be honest, it's been a lot more fun for me. I've enjoyed it a whole lot more than undergrad. But I will say that the courses are tougher. Stations are more extracurricular in grad school than undergrad. It's not simply just coming to class. You gotta be there for the part of it.
The biggest difference for me is I feel like I'm actually going to get a job when I get out of here.
I kind of touched on it already, but like the biggest difference for me, and I guess the research sciences is the point of school is no longer go to class and do good in class. The point of school is go to class, learn something, and then research and then publish or it's research. Research is the biggest difference for me in doing that.
Yeah, I don't think you're not, I think the entire point of education is to get a master's. I just said it. I mean, that's what I feel.
So if you're able to make a difference between undergrad and college is learning how to branch out of working independently. And undergraduate, most of the time, own things, you're shooting for your own goals and your own, good grades. But when you're in graduate school, it's teaching you how to be a professional and how to network. And it's a lot of group work. And so you have to learn how to coexist in group settings and teamwork and things like that. And then building those networks. So, and it can be pretty fun, but at the same time, understanding that everyone isn't going to adapt well in the same social environment and everyone might not get along. Everybody might not give the same consistent effort, but you have to know that you have to work alongside them regardless. No excuse. You tell to the professor that something's slacking, they're gonna say, figure it out. It's the world. Figure it out.
We have a question from Emily. When applying to be a part of the PhD program, is there opportunity to have the master's program paid for? Is the application process the same? Laura, is that?
Okay, let's see. How do I apply to be part of PhD? Is there an opportunity to have the master's? Oh no, we don't. We don't have the. Unfortunately, we can't pay for the. We don't pay for the programs. I mean, how do I start this off? The biggest way to help pay for your programs is the different funding opportunities out there, right? So there's the graduate assistantships that will help pay for it. Any kind of scholarships, meeting with your graduate coordinators. But applying to be a part of the PhD, it's two different programs, right? So even the application fee, two different application fees, two different processing, two different degrees. So going into the master's and the PhD is going to be completely separate in regards to funding. Is the application process the same? It may be similar, but there may be a few things that are different. Deadlines may be different. PhDs may only say, hey, we're only accepting, once a semester. They might have different requirements on them. Some of them, I'm thinking more of like the accelerated tracks in my mind right now when I think about this, but they may have more your career experience or kind of the business experience that you've had, where if you go for the master's, they might just say, hey, we want to, see written statements, recommendation letters, things like that. So they might be similar, but there are going to be some difference with it.
Sorry, I just want to add for the GA applications or being granted a GA, these are very competitive positions. So it's not that you're just going to be granted a GA. You have to apply for it and you're competing amongst other applicants. Also for situations where the GA comes with the graduate program and it is also competitive. your resume is just able to pretend it's your, you have to understand that it's going to be a competitive process.
Good point. Yeah, it's very competitive. That's why we say deadlines, we can't push deadlines enough. You want to make sure your application is the top of the top. As the panelists are mentioning, they're not just going to look at your GPA. They're just going to look at one area. They're going to look at everything as a whole. So what I even say almost would probably be like one piece of the most important when I was a first-gen grad student myself is that statement of intent, because I knew I'm a horrible test taker, but that was my one way to sell myself to the department. So I'm going to make sure that I write this as best I can because this is my only way to communicate with them before I actually get accepted. So look at what's required, but yes, it is competitive. So make sure you're giving yourself enough time to get everything in. But the master's and PhD are two separate, two different fundings. Just because you get your PhD doesn't mean you're going to get the master's degree. It's going to be you're just getting that specific degree. That answer the questions.
Thank you, Lori. Next question. Did you have to work while studying, or are you only a full-time student? What do you recommend?
My first semester, I was able to work because of COVID. It allowed me to do everything online, and I could still work 5 days a week, 40 hours. That wasn't a problem. But we are all different. Some people can focus and work, and some people, really like myself, I cannot work a whole lot and attend my classes and also research projects, etc. The GA ship is pretty much like another class and work if you can do it. Absolutely, because again, it does pay for your tuition and you do get a stipend every month. But number one thing is your courses.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've had to work and go to school. I wouldn't recommend it. If you can just go to school, that'd be great. And if you can get a GA ship, that's even better. But yeah, you have to really manage your time. It really puts a strain on your time. But you really have to flip-flop your thinking. It's like your school comes before your work. I know in American society, we always push like money and stuff, but you've got to work on your education first because that's, to get really good at what you're learning. Because in the long run, that's going to make you a lot more money by having that knowledge, and that's something nobody can take from you. So you have to like scale back on your work and be very effective with your time. But personal time, you can give that nonsense up. That's not happening. There's no personal time. This is work or school. So
Yeah, if your personal time includes doing research or working, then you don't have any problems. Okay. But yeah, I know life happens, but yeah, I would not recommend working while being a grad student, unless it's a GA. All right, in which case, at all times you probably want to accept that. Okay, because the GA, in my case, the GA is literally training me for my job. Right, I want to be a professor. All professors were GAs before they were professors, so it's like kind of an apprenticeship in a weird way. And same thing if you want to be like a scientist or work in a lab, be an RA, right, and do research. And so those will help you towards your studies, towards your career, and those are beneficial, especially the tuition waiver and the stipend. Those are lovely. But like an outside job, just working like a regular job would probably not be recommended, especially a PhD student. Maybe you could do it while you're a master's student, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing. What's the biggest piece of advice would you give a first generation student who is unsure of pursuing grad school?
They really just figure out what your goals are regarding career or academics, whatever it is. Grad school is not like undergrad in the sense that, I'll just get my bachelor degree and then I'll figure it out later. You got to come in and already know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and more or less how you want to do it. And let the grad school fill out the gaps and let you figure out the rest. You definitely want to come in with a plan, If your career goal does not require a PhD or a master's, why do it? Just get job experience or figure out another way. I mean, it's been a great experience for me, but if I don't need to do it, I probably wouldn't be here. Just figure out what it is and talk to your advisors, mentors, um, anyone who's in the field that you want to be in, and see how they did it.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. It's really excellent advice. But also, if you're first generation college graduate, first of all, just like be proud of yourself because you're the first one of your generation to go to school. And there's probably a 90% chance that one of your brothers or sisters are going to go to college because of you. And then their kids might go to college. So you've really affected your entire family lineage. You really should be proud of yourself. You really should pat yourself on the back for being the first one to break the mold. But that being said, I agree with everything that he just said. Make sure that it's something you really want to do and that it's a fulcrum for your future. You know, like you really have a reason for doing it, not just doing it to impress anybody. You've already impressed your family by getting a college degree, so be proud of that. And then but you really have to think about whether you want to go to grad school or not, because it's not going to make sense to you unless you're all in, because there will be very hard times you have to push through. And if you know the reason you're there, then you're going to be able to do it much easier.
Yeah, I just want to echo everything that they're saying. My biggest piece of advice, because I'm a TA, right? I teach classes and I get this question from my undergrads a lot, is you have to really know why. Like the why do you want to go to grad school? And if it's my job requires it, well then that's a pretty good reason, right? But if your job doesn't require it, then you really, really need to know the why, because it's if you don't get a GA-ship, then it's even more expensive. It's a lot of time, right? And so the bachelor's degree is kind of the general degree, right? If you get one, that's amazing, that's great, and you like generally understood as very skilled. The master's and PhD is not just like all plus, right? The master's and PhD is where you become like very specialized in what your degree is. And so like my PhD in math would not help me get a job in hospitality or in or as a teacher. Like I wouldn't get, well, as a teacher I would get paid more. But like what I'm saying is your PhD or master's is very specialized to the thing you get it in, and it won't necessarily just look like a plus, you know. They would rather have like job experience or other things like that if it's unrelated.
Thanks for sharing. Um, what is the difference between a master's program and a PhD program?
To be honest, I'm not so sure. But one thing I have learned from people that I talked to is that the PhD is mostly, if not all, research. You're research focused, while the master's program, yes, we are doing some research, but you're also doing a lot of group projects, a lot of presentations, a lot of active engagement. Where, say, the PhD, you could be buried in books, buried in publications, and trying to draw whatever information you're trying to pull from as part of your overall study or your overall project.
Yeah, I'm applying for the doctorate in public policy, so you can check with me next fall. I'll tell you what happened.
Okay. Well, so I have a master's degree and I'm in a PhD program. So, in the sciences, I would say the difference is the master's degree is like the epitome of applying something, or you are the best at like taking a test or learning knowledge. Okay. Whereas when you take the step to the PhD, that's when you're required to produce the knowledge. You must research, you must have original thoughts, okay? Like a master's thesis doesn't have to be publishable, it doesn't have to be new necessarily. You could just produce some results or do something kind of new. Whereas the PhD dissertation must be new and it must produce papers and right? And so there's a whole different level of, it is about research, okay? Or at least in the STEM fields, it's definitely about research.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Just want to add, since I'm part of GRA and I get this question like a lot of times, so there is a lot of differences between masters and PhD. And what I remember is masters only takes like 2 to 3 years to finish, while PhD takes 4 to 4, 5, 6 years. That's from what I remember. So PhD is more research based. Masters for more thesis and clinical type. Next question. Is there financial support available for those applying to grad school?
Yes, absolutely. There's plenty of support. One thing that I almost forgot while applying and haven't thought so much now is that there are so many scholarships and grants available for grad students. We think that the FAFSA is being primarily for undergrad, but that's not true. You can apply if you want to be a grad student. And also, first gen, you can look at ethnicity or nationality based scholarships. Me as a Latino, I've seen quite a few scholarships out there that the main thing is GPA, and you must be Hispanic or Latino. But there are also other ones for different ethnicities. Just look around, do your research online. There's a lot of money flying around.
Yes, there's a lot of money through FAFSA for your master's program, and you want to apply for all of it because you'll pay it back. Don't worry, you're gonna make a lot of money. Trust me. But I know the Army stops paying for your PhD, so I'm applying for. I'm taking a 2-semester break before I start my PhD, so I can apply for scholarships. Because I thought about that, so I'm applying for all the Pat Tillman Ranger scholarship and all the scholarships that a lot of the post 9/11 money got moved to other scholarships. So yeah, you want to look at scholarships. So that's why your GPA is so critically important. I think that's a major factor, and then also your statement of purpose, what you plan to do with your education. So, but yeah, there's a lot of money available.
So it definitely depends on if you're a master's or PhD. For PhD, there is just tons of money floating around for you just to reach up and grab. Scholarships, fellowships, outside fellowships, some depending your advisor. If your advisor is well funded, like with an NSF grant, I know advisors that pay their grad students just in the summer to do some research for them. All right, and so there's lots of support if you just look for it. And like the grad college, your own personal college, right? So like I am in the grad college as a grad student, but I'm also in the College of Science, and they both have separate scholarships and fellowship fields. Your own department, right? I mean, I'm sure there's an entire presentation on financial support. So GA, there's lots of money floating out there. You just have to go search, and maybe GPSA, right? Many places. Just if you try a little and look around, I'm sure you'll find some money.
Thank you for sharing. Next question. How many programs do you suggest we should apply to?
I'd say apply, well, I guess based on, again, your aspirations or maybe the competitiveness of what you want to apply or where do you want to apply to. If it's not too competitive, probably try and focus on the schools that you want to attend. And for me, I only applied to UNLV for a master's program. Luckily, I got accepted. But if it's physical therapy, it's very competitive, so you want to apply to as many schools as possible.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. That was perfect. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, really what he said, it depends on your career goals and how competitive you want to be. I guess there's an anecdote. I have a friend who just got his master's degree and was applying to PhD programs, and he applied to 15 schools, which I was like, that's a little excessive. Okay, each application is like over $100. Okay, so I would just recommend less than 15. Okay, but I personally only applied to UNLV because I already met my advisor beforehand and I wanted to work with her. So that could also be part of your consideration.
Thanks for sharing. What's the support system for first-generation students in graduate school at UNLV, specifically for master's program?
First, I want to give a shout out to First Gen Club here at UNLV. They were very supportive of my goals and my aspirations. I'm so glad I found you all. Again, the grad school has been incredibly supportive to me, not just with academics, but just with life goals, any life problems, because I guess with my age, you're not just a student. I mean, I'm deep in the game. I'm 32 years old, so it's great to have a lot of people around me that have become not just friends, but mentors, role models, and shoot, I hope I can take a bit of what everybody's taught me and just pass it on.
Yeah, you get a lot of support. You have the library, which I keep mentioning. I spend a lot of time there. They have a lot of resources there for you. There's multimedia rooms. There's GPSA, also the First Gen Club, of course, and then the SRWC. There's just a lot of there's a lot of great support systems, and the tutoring and counseling centers and stuff. So it's just a matter of using them. It's just to go out and use them, and that's really important to get out of your comfort zone and ask about the resources, because once you ask about them and start using them, your college career becomes a lot easier, a lot more bearable.
Yeah, so shout out to First Generation Club. This is support, right? You're here with the support. But also, I think the intersection does things for first generation students. And we also had, like, I think this year we had the first inaugural First Generation Week. And so all of the people that do things during that week, that's support. And specifically as a master's student, I would say the PhD students, right? Like they have, some of them have master's degrees, and they're not, right? They're less intimidating than a professor, right? You can go to them for like fresh advice, right? Because they were just in your shoes maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and so use your fellow, your fellow cohorts and peers as a support system.
Yes, and your professors. Your professors are really helpful when you're in a grad student. You're talking to your professors. They really go out of their way to help you. It's pretty interesting.
Special thank you to everyone at the library, at the Lee Library. They not just books and researching, I mean, but they can help you out with how to research or how to find research that you need for a project or for a paper. And they can take you in so many different directions.
Thank you for sharing. We're almost wrapping up. All right, we want to thank Alan, Inigo, and Jorge for being our panelists for today. Give them an applause. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, and we appreciate you. And we definitely learned a lot from you and your experience about what grad school is like and what it's like to be a graduate student. And so we want to announce some online giveaway winners. Okay. 3 winners are Emily Agudo, Dilmi Pereira, and Elvina Isquabel. So yay, congrats to you guys. You guys won a prize. Yay. And we have one more winner. It's what's your name? Taylor. Congratulations, you're one of our winners for our prizes. All right, thank you so much for attending our grad school event, and we hope you learn a lot from our wonderful panelists and our amazing graduate college faculty, Lori and Pimby. All right, students who are in person are more than welcome to greet our panelists right here. Thank you so much again, and we hope you have a great day.